Okay, so I'm redoing my pedal board and getting some pedals on there that don't have Velcro, getting them all lined up so they'll stay adhered to the board. And I've been seeing a lot of people online asking when they buy new pedals how to affix them to the board without damaging the back or damaging the label or covering up screw holes and still getting them to stick to their pedal board. Sometimes because they want to resell them without the Velcro residue on the bottom, maintain resale value. And this is how I do that. It's very simple, but it's kind of hard to explain in text on the internet, so I'm just making this short video. I've got 3 pedals here. 2 of them I've already done, one of them I haven't. This is the one I'm about to do. This is actually one of the first pedals I ever did. You can see there's some gap at the top and the bottom here where there's paper. Velcro only goes this far. I don't do it this way anymore because it doesn't quite give me enough to sit on the gaps between the pedal board and actually give grip in all situations. Sometimes it's not enough. So I do it this way now, which is just a slight variant. And what I end up with is just a little bit more Velcro on the top and bottom. Makes it straddle those bars on the pedal board a lot better, so it actually stays in place a little bit more reliably. So that's what we're going to do now. So to start, just take your sheet of paper, take the pedal you're going to do. You want to set it down, you want to get an idea for how much paper you're going to need to basically fold up and reach the midpoint of the pedal. You look at the top and the bottom, and then at the sides. Obviously the sides you don't need to go as far out because you don't have to go as far width as you do length. So I'm going to set this down for a second and we're going to get started. First off, we grab our scissors. Okay, we're back. So scissors are lined up. I'm basically just going to make one small cut right here. I'm going to move over to the other side. And I'm going to make one small cut right here. And that's to mark the strip that's going to go up through the middle. I'm going to do the same thing to all the other sides, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I made some cuts. There's these little flaps that come part way in on all the sides. You can see where I've made the cuts. Right there. And so now I'm going to remove the pedal. I'm going to pick up this paper, and I'm going to cut it until I get the 4 corners of the page cut out, and then I'm going to trim these side ones down a little bit so they actually fit the size of the pedal. And here's the semi-finished product. I haven't trimmed off the edges yet, but this gives you an idea of what I've cut out. There's the loose squares here, and if I set the pedal down, you can get at least an idea of how it's going to wrap in there. As you can see, I didn't measure exactly. This is all by eye, and it works just fine. There is a website called checkitloud.com that has templates for certain pedal types, for MXR, Boss, some Electro Harmonics, TC Electronics, you can do this free form. You don't really need the templates. They're a nice way to start, so you kind of get an idea of how this works. But once you've done it a few times, you can just do it freehand, and it can be a little sloppy. It'll still work just fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these down, like I said, and then I'm going to take this back panel off. I'm just using a very standard Phillips head screwdriver. I'm just going to take off the back panel and trim these ends, and then I'll show you how I start taping it up. Okay, so I've set the open back pedal and screws aside. I've got the plate here. As you can see, I trimmed a little bit of the length as well as the width to make it fit a little bit nicer on the back plate. So this is where we bring in our tape. So we've got standard masking tape, very simple, and we've got some duct tape. This is actually all I have. I'm almost out of duct tape. Need to buy more. Very, very straightforward how we're going to do this. So we're going to take the pedal plate, we're going to set it here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fold the tabs in. I only have one hand free, so I'm going to set this down, and we'll come back to a semi-finished product. So just to show a partway finished version here, you can see that I've folded in the 2 side tabs, and I've used my masking tape to just tape the sides to the inside. The reason to do it this way is because the masking tape will come up very, very easily when it's time to take it off, and it won't leave any residue or marks on the interior of the pedal or the exterior because it's not touching the exterior. So now I'm going to do the top and bottom flaps as well, and we'll come back when that's all taped down. And here we go. So we're done with the masking tape portion. So as you can see, tape down all 4 flaps, one over the other. On the back, there's this cross, there's the exposed corners, but the rest of it's covered with paper. Label is all nice and covered. You can't see it at all. It's not exposed in any way, shape, or form. So now the next part is where our duct tape comes in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a loop of duct tape, and I'm going to go the length of the pedal backing, and I'm going to loop around part way, same deal, into here, and that's going to be the backing that we're going to put our Velcro on. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're done. As you can see, tape wraps around the back here, a little bit of gap, but it doesn't really matter there, and the paper is almost entirely on the tape is almost entirely on the paper. A little off here, but that shouldn't leave any residue when I take it off. It should be fine. So now we've got this, a little bit of paper on the sides, a nice long tape of duct tape. This will hold it all together, and I'm going to get a strip of my Velcro here, and I'm going to take off the part I need, and I'm going to just stick it right there. Okay, now we've got some Velcro. Again, just tape on the inside, Velcro on the outside. When we're done with the pedal backing, if we want to sell it or whatever, you can cut right across the paper here, and the whole thing just comes off. You do both sides, cut the top, whole thing comes off. So again, this leaves no residue, no marks, no scuffs, no evidence whatsoever that you have Velcro on the bottom of your pedal. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to take my pedal and my screws. I'm going to put this guy back on there. And here we are, final pedal, all put back together. As you can see, doesn't change anything about the pedal. The screws are screwed in a little less tight than they are without this because it does make a little bit of width, but that's why we use paper to go around most of it, and a thin layer of duct tape is because the compression from the screws is more than enough to hold everything in place without putting any pressure on the circuit board. If you think that you're putting any pressure on the internals of the pedal, you may have used too much paper or tape because it really shouldn't affect it at all, so be careful with that, but so far I haven't had any concerns with it on any of the pedals I've done. And I've done everything on my board except for the whammy and the rat, which are on the table next. So just to show you how this works, here it is. Move these out of the way. Pedal. Velcro down. Not really going anywhere. I can peel it off. Still intact, no tears, no problem. It's going to stay there for as long as I want to leave it on the board. When I had them all Velcroed on, when I had less pedals, you can lift the board up, tilt it sideways, move it around, absolutely nothing falls off. If you've got your cabling managed underneath, you can basically just pick it up, put it in your travel bag, and go. I really like this method because it's reversible if you want to sell your pedals, helps you keep your pedal value. Blues Driver was probably, I think, the third pedal that I did. It's still got the original boot on it that I first put on there. Stays on, no problem. Lets things move around a little bit so they're not super tight. You don't have to worry about too much tension if anything gets bumped. And anyhow, yeah, that's how I put Velcro on the back of my pedals in a way that doesn't damage them, keeps their resale value, and is pretty easy to do. So I wanted to share it because I see a lot of people asking. Anyhow, have a good one.